Hey guys, Jess with Peekaboo Wreath. I know we've taken a few days to finish this up. I apologize. Life's busy sometimes. I've been organizing and getting some things done. But I am back to finish this wreath. I've not glued anything in yet. I've just been kind of going through and figuring out the spacing and all that good stuff. I have been, I have a tendency when we're doing these videos to not really place things properly, and then I know on our last wreath I had to go through and rip stuff out. It was not a good time. So this time I just kind of went through, made sure that my counts were right and that everything is spaced properly, because you don't want to have like 7 things, you know, most things over here, nothing over here. We want everything to be spaced out. So the only things that I have tied in are my footballs. Let me get that a little bit more right here. These footballs here, I have 1 in the middle, then I have 3 around the outside. I did put these orange, I think they're hydrangea. So let me see if I can move our light up a little bit. They're these right here. They come in just these, like, they're a little bit, not as high quality as these. So when we talk about quality items, see how this here compared to this here, right? They both have their pluses and minuses. This one, don't get me wrong, I like that has, you know, the variation, you know, from the tips of the leaves to the middle. But this one here, look at the difference, right? We have like all different kinds of flowers in here. We have like this one that let me know if you know the names. This one reminds me of like a black-eyed Susan, but it's orange. You know, we have like this sunflower one. We have these ones that remind me of roses, but I know they're not. I need a little bit more schooling on the names. But these also have leaves that we can push up to add more natural elements in there too. So we're going to be adding those in. And then of course, a blue and orange football wreath would not be a peekaboo wreath. Peekaboo wreath without my ficus. I painted some more ficus. This really pretty matte blue color. If you guys want to know, I can let you know in the comments below what that name is. I bought it from Walmart, a can of it. I just bought a second can the other day because I used a full can painting ficus. Who would have thought? If you would have told me that a year ago, I would have said, nope, not me. But things are changing. I'm taking more risks and I love it. Okay, so let me get my glue pot and we can glue in the items on the top. I tried to, as I said before, place them where they need to go. The last wreath that I made, that last football one, it kind of looked like it was like Kansas City inspired. Oh, before I put this in, this is a velvet pumpkin. It's foam underneath. So what I always do, instead of just gluing this velvet stuff to the mesh, I don't completely trust that that's gonna hold. So I always take my scissors, punch a hole through the velvet, take a little piece of a stem, take some super glue, put it on the end of the stem, poke it into the hole, then put Gorilla Glue hot glue around the edges to hold it short term. This will be long term. I know it might be an overkill, you know, but you know what? We do what we need to do to sleep at night. Just kidding. I know that sounds extreme, but I don't want to think about any wreaths melting off the doors. You know, that's not what I'm signed up for. So this one here, it's a little bit darker blue, but it's still in the blue and orange color scheme. You know, I had bought almost a whole case of these pumpkins and I have used almost the whole case. It is crazy to me, but you know what? I've been using them in almost every single football wreath that I've been making. I really like the way this looks. These, like I said before, they're a little bit not as full or quality as we'd like. So we're doubling them up so that instead of looking like this, it looks like this. Because you know what? What is the point of putting an embellishment in if you can't see it and if you don't think it is matching the rest of the wreath? So the rest of our embellishments are nice and bright, nice and full. So we are doing that with these florals over here too. So I did the same thing. I picked one that had a greenery on it, one that did not. So that way it matches the other side. When you make wreaths, a lot of times you want to make, well, obviously with the bow, you want to make sure that both sides match, right? And it kind of works the same thing with wreaths. So like if you put one thing on this side, I always want to put the other one on this side to give a nice balanced look. We put a pumpkin here, we're going to put a pumpkin here. And then I put like a focal point down here, which is a football. Again, I just tied it in. Okay, so we have these nice big glitzy pumpkins. They have like a crackle effect. This one has a little string on it. They have a crackle effect that has glitter on it, and they're gorgeous. So we're gonna be gluing those in too. So let me just stick that in my glue pot. I did the same thing with the stem as I did with the other one. And I put that one right here. And I counted it out so that I have a pumpkin, then I have a blank space where I'm gonna put a floral, then I have then I have a football, a blank space, and I'm gonna put a pumpkin over here. You wanna make sure that when you're using bigger embellishments, like I am here, that you are making sure that you're counting and making sure that it's even. So if I put one here, I need to count how many ribbon bundles are in between, right? I can't just like eyeball it because I can't trust my eyeballs. Sometimes I think that something's even and then I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And then I hang it up and I'm like, okay, yeah. And then I go to take a picture and I'm like, what? No, not right. That's not right. So thankfully, most of the time you can kind of pull it out a little bit and redo it. It's not really the end of the world, but so you don't have to waste your time. I'm just holding those pumpkins a smidge so that that hot glue has a chance to hold. I got a little bit of glitter on my fingers, but not too bad. All right, so now we have these florals here. This is a floral bush. I got it from Hobby Lobby. I don't have the price tag on here, but, oh, I do. Just kidding. It is a fall. It just says fall. It was originally $19.99, but it was 40% off. So that was what? $14 for all these blooms, which I think that's a good deal. And they're really high quality and they have leaves and all the good stuff. So it is 5117213. All right, so since we have one spot here, we'll have, let's see, 6 spots. So I'm just gonna randomly pick off 6 pieces of floral. If they have leaves attached, like this one has like a little grouping, I'm gonna keep those leaves on there, just push them up a little bit. I like kind of, as much as I just said about how I like everything to be like symmetrical and matchy-matchy, at the same time, sometimes it's nice just to kind of be a little bit free-flowing, you know, make it look like, you know, the greenery, right? This is not in the rest of the wreath. So some people might say, oh, you can't use that, it's not in the rest of the wreath. Well, you can, and it looks nice. And what's kind of good is it gives it more of a natural look, right? And I'm all about that when we're using wreaths, which go normally outside. I did throw a pine cone in the middle of this too, this bow, right there. It just kind of gives it a nice little flow. You could have put like a flower on there too. I just leave a little bit of a stem, see, like this right here. Just dip it in the glue pot and then push it into the wreath. I'm going to push it in far enough to where it's going to make a connection in there so it doesn't fall out. You also don't want it poking out the back of your wreath. I always use Gorilla Glue hot glue melted in my glue pot. For the longest time I used just a hot glue gun, so you can definitely do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I just think that it's actually faster to use a glue pot because all your glue is just melted and you can just dip your item right in there and not have to hold the glue, the hot glue gun, then try to you know, hold both things at the same time. And sometimes glue guns for me would like splotch out sometimes, where all of a sudden like you'd be pressing it and all of a sudden like a lot would come out, and I burned myself like that before, so it's not really something I'm looking to do. Although you can, if you're not careful, burn yourself with a glue pot as well. Just be careful with glue, please, guys. It is not a toy. All right, so sticking that one in there, nice and pretty. And then I have one more this floral here to put in. And I'm gonna go around and put in my ficus, and then I will be done. This might be my last orange and blue wreath of the season, guys. Can you believe it? I feel like all I do on YouTube here is orange and blue football wreaths. I hope you guys aren't sick of them. But all these techniques that I'm using, you know, you can use on any theme, right? It doesn't have to just be a football wreath. You can make this, you know, just change the colors up. You can use like poinsettia for your florals and, you know, different colors. And you could just make it and, you know, use a Christmas wreath, right? No matter what theme it is, the mesh I cut is always the same length, right? I always use 10-inch mesh cut to 30-inch lengths every single time. And I've just kind of learned that from making wreaths as many times as I have, is like you learn what you like and you stick with what works. It's like anything else in life, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you make a wreath, you don't like the way it looks, it doesn't sell, you know, then don't do it like that again, right? I mean, you want to make what you like, but you also want to make what sells. There's, you know, because as motivating as it is to create and to be told that your wreath looks beautiful, nothing to me motivates me in the exact same way as hearing that cha-ching from Etsy. I have it set up so that my notification when a wreath sale comes through, it goes cha-ching, and it's the only thing in my notifications that makes that sound. That is it. It's reserved for Etsy. So just know that every time you place a wreath order, that sound comes directly to my phone, and it makes me dance. It makes me do a happy dance. My boys will always shout out, cha-ching, we heard a cha-ching. You know, we all get excited because, you know what, at the end of the day, you know, I started making wreaths because I wanted to create something for my family that they would love, and it grew into a business, you know, and being able to be on here teaching you guys now, which I never thought I would do. People would ask me if I did tutorials, and I would always say, no, not at this time. But the truth is, I was scared. Like, what if I make them and no one watches them? You know, what if I'm not good enough to make them? You know, why would somebody watch mine? You know, and there's other people that have sold more wreaths or have been making it longer, or, you know, make fuller wreaths or bigger wreaths. But you know what? Everybody has something to offer. You know, everybody has a different teaching style. Everybody has, you know, a little bit of different way to make it. And that's kind of one of the good parts of the wreathing community is, you know, if you don't like the way that I make wreaths, that's all right. You know, take the parts that you like and then try out somebody else. You know, there's lots of different wreath makers. They all have different styles. They all have different personalities, and, you know, what do they say? Something about a shoe and a fit, right? There's a shoe for every foot. There's a, let me know how that goes, okay? In the comments below. But anyways, you know what I'm saying, right? So, but yes. So I started doing this during my oldest son's nap times. I saw quite a few YouTube videos, and I started trying it, and I liked it, and I realized that there's no wrong way to do it, which I really like that. And you just get better, you know, every one you make, you just get better and better and better, right? Practice makes progress, right? Not perfect. And there we are. So I'm 530 wreaths sold on Etsy, I believe. So here we go. This is my 6th year of selling wreaths on Etsy, which is crazy. It's a long time. But sorry about that loud sound. But I used to compare, you know, my success to others. You know, like, why isn't mine taking off like other people's? I mean, what do they say? Comparison is the thief of joy. And I completely agree with that. You know, you gotta stay in your lane, you know, do your thing. Find out what you're good at. Do that. And then take chances, right? Take chances at something new. If it doesn't work, it's okay. You know, last Christmas time, when I was getting ready to do my craft shows, I was trying to think that I should experiment with some other kinds of techniques that I don't normally make, so I can say like I offer something exclusive. And this is why I do this. I put 18 pieces of ficus in here, and we used them all. Yay! But yeah, I made these wreaths that my sister used to make, a few years ago. And they were like ornament wreaths, and they had tinsel in them, and they were really hard and time consuming because I wasn't used to making them. And I thought, and I didn't really sell any, and I thought, oh, that was a waste of time. But you know what? Since then, they've all sold. I think there might be one left in my shop. So, you know, try it out. You never know. You never know unless you try. All right, we are done. Donesy onesies. All right, the bow got a little frazzled during putting all the embellishments in, but this measure is about 25 inches across. Normally my wreaths are about 8 to 9 inches deep. And that is all she wrote. Let me know what you think about it. Let me know if you try one out in the comments below. That's all. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you. There's my face. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye-bye.